Plane landed in Washington, D.C. Cage was there, but no pumpkin. United Airlines workers searched the cargo hold to Gap but found nothing. Barlow and Pumpkin made her appearance in the pressurized part of the cargo hold of the plane. Barlow says she's going to fly Pumpkin back home, but in coach this time now. That story appeared as my cats were in the air, and so I worried until they got to the door. Anyway, you will see a photograph of them sitting on a couch here at home back in the USA. So our little immigrant kitty, she's the one on top of Abby Dose. Sleeping on top of Abby Dose. They're all fine. She did suffer a little damage to her nose where she kept pushing it up against the bars of the cage she was in. She's not a seasoned traveler, as are the other two, but that'll heal. It's already healing. We, meaning Aaron and myself, are still assimilating from the, now it's going on 3 weeks, but we're still kind of assimilating from the trip back to the U.S. It really is. All right, looking at the depressing news, at least 20 American service members killed in military operations Saturday in the deadliest day for U.S. forces in 2 years, including 13 that died in a helicopter crash, 5 slain in an attack by militia fighters in the holy city of Karbala. Saturday's total was the third highest of any single day since the whole war began back in March of 2003, eclipsed only by 37 U.S. deaths on January 26, 2005, and 28 on the third day of the U.S. invasion. Democratic Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton launched a trailblazing campaign for the White House on Saturday. A former First Lady turned political powerhouse intent on becoming the first female president. I'm in, and I'm in to win, she said. That was all in a videotaped message posted on her website. Clinton said she was eager to start a dialogue about challenges she hopes to tackle as president. Affordable health care, of course, deficit reduction, and bringing the right end to the Iraq War. I'll be interested when she defines that. President Bush's State of the Union address on Tuesday will give him a second and possibly last chance, in the news anyway, to defend his new Iraq strategy to a nation soured on the war and a ways to vote against the whole thing. It really will be the president's last major opportunity to shape America's legislative agenda before the fast-moving 2008 presidential campaign takes over all the news. A gunman shot a man, held his ex-girlfriend and their 4 young children hostage for about 9 hours Saturday, before finally forcing them into a car and fleeing. According to police, Elkhart Police issued an Amber Alert, said the children, their 31-year-old mom, Kimberly Walker, were in extreme danger. The children range in age from 16 months to 9 years. Former President Jimmy Carter said Saturday that the storm of criticism that he's faced for his recent book hasn't weakened his resolve one bit for fair treatment of Israelis and Palestinians. I've been called a liar, he said at the town meeting on the second day, a symposium on his presidency at the University of Georgia. The Idol judges, American Idol judges, says they are not really, despite what a lot of people think, any meaner and crueler than they ever have been. American Idol judges Simon Cowell, Randy Jackson, and Paul Abdul say they're no crueler than usual this year. And the people who audition ought to know what they're getting into. If you don't want to hear that, don't show up, Cowell told a television writer gathering at a news conference on Saturday. Well, I suppose that's probably true. And I want to acknowledge, I'm apparently being awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Radio and Records people, the trade publication Radio and Records, has announced that I will be the recipient of their Talk Radio Lifetime Achievement Award, and will be honored at an upcoming seminar in Los Angeles. And then if you click, you can read more, where they use the word that I hate. Legendary talk radio host and founder of Trevino and Corona. So, I will be going down to Los Angeles for that, I guess. I think in March. Look again. Be sure it's March. See, where is it? In Los Angeles, I'm coming, it just says. Well, it is in March, sometime or another in March. And I realize that. That's Radio Records, that's our Lifeblood magazine, and so it's a great honor. Of course, it's a great honor. But I just wish they wouldn't use the word legendary. It has such a, no, I don't know. I just don't like it. Anyway, in a moment we'll look at some of, as Paul would say, the rest of the news. I was just discussing with my board operator, Lifetime Achievement Award, I guess it is. I've been doing this program now, Coast to Coast, in one form or another for about 20 years. And radio, I guess, all my life. So, I guess, okay, hey, I talked to Whitney from the high desert. From the high desert in the great American Southwest. And by the way, it may have somewhat shielding deprived by Suleiman that Dennis Weaver has passed on after last year. However, the world is going to be a very, very major climate catastrophe in Europe. And if it became permanent, fundamental climate change would lead to dramatically cooler weather across the whole continent. At present, extreme weather conditions exist in California and Poland, with unprecedented crop losses, a massive tree fall due to ice and wind, hundreds of deaths, property damage across 12 countries that could reach easily into the billions of dollars. All this is not being reported by a single large media group as similar as a connected event, but it may be. If there are more extensive changes in the planetary system of currents that have not yet been documented, the scenario is strikingly similar to Superstorm. Obviously not as great as the one described in the book and then the movie. But then again, the currents have not yet hit up completely. So if these currents fail, Europe is going to turn into an iceberg. You saw it begin to happen. You actually saw it begin to happen. I'm sure you saw the catastrophic storms that began to hit Europe. Well, it happened when the currents changed. If it happens again, and it happens permanently, the world is going to be very, very, very quickly a different place. Indeed, the most important story he's ever run. Keep track of it. We're going to be doing open lines here in a few minutes, so if you know the numbers, the portals, feel free to begin dialing about now. With a rash of recent sightings of unidentified flying objects in the Eastern Hemisphere, Russia and Iran have jointly agreed to study UFOs. According to the Islamic Republic News Agency, the two nations are stressing, quote, expansion of bilateral cooperation, particularly in space research and construction of satellites. In addition to the scientific look at UFOs, Russia and Iran are finalizing agreement for the construction of the Zohra satellite for Iran, which has been on the drawing board for years now, but has been hampered by bureaucratic obstacles. News of the UFO study comes as skywatching mania strikes Iran. This week, the Associated Press reported Tehran's Air Force was ordered to shoot down any unknown or suspicious flying objects in its airspace, amid state media reports of sightings of flying objects near Iran's nuclear installations. Flights of unknown objects in the country's airspace have increased in recent weeks. They've been seen over Bushehr and Ashraf provinces, nuclear facilities located in both. We've arranged plans to defend nuclear facilities from any, according to an Air Force general there. Iran's Air Force is watchful and prepared to carry out its responsibilities. He also reported shining objects in the sky near Natanz, where Iran's nuclear enrichment plant is situated. One of the objects is said to have exploded, prompting panic in the region. As WorldNet Daily previously reported, Iran has been struck by UFO fever all year long, with dozens of sightings of strange objects. In April, state-run television broadcast a sparkling white disc flying right over Tehran. People were reportedly rushing into the streets in 8 towns to watch bright extraterrestrial light dipping in and out of the clouds. Now, I'm not a genius in these matters, but the United States right now has a very, very, very large interest in what's going on in Iran, particularly around their nuclear facilities, their enrichment facilities, and one can't help but speculate that what they're calling UFOs, extraterrestrial, well, they could be. But in view of where they're being seen, my guess would be that it's our stuff. That we're taking a good, hard, close look at what they're doing, and we don't like what they're doing. To the degree that, well, there's rumors of wars. Of course, there's always rumors of wars, but I mean, there's rumors of U.S. unhappiness with what's going on in Iran, and would we put stuff in their skies? You betcha. Galaxy-gazing scientists surely wonder about what kind of impact finding life or intelligent beings on another planet would have on the world. But what sort of effect would it have on the Catholics? They are particularly devoted. Will Christian theology be rocked to the core if science someday found a distant orb teeming with little green guys, women, or other intelligent form white women? Why women? Would the church send missionaries to spread the gospel to aliens? Could aliens even be baptized? Or would they have their own version of Jesus and have already experienced his universal or galactic plan of salvation? Curious Catholics need not be space buffs to want answers to these others when they pick up a 48-page booklet by a Vatican astronomer. Though the British-based Catholic Truth Society, Brother Guy Casamingo, has penned his response to what he says are questions he gets from the public all the time when he gets talks on his work at Vatican Observatory, titled Intelligent Life in the Universe, Catholic Belief and Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligent Life. The pocket-sized booklet is yet the latest addition to the Society's Explanation series, which explores Catholic teaching on current social and ethical issues. And they say something very nice here. The book of Genesis describes 2 stories of creation, and science, too, has more than one version of how the cosmos may have come into being. However you picture the universe being created, the essential point is that ultimately it was a deliberate, loving act of a God who exists outside of space and time. And I thought that was pretty elegant. It was a deliberate, loving act of a God who exists outside of space and time. Whatever it is that did this surely does exist outside of space and time as we understand it. Stephen Hawking wants to go to space. Can you imagine that? Quantum physicist Stephen Hawking says we need to take action to try to offset global warming. Now, he's a pretty bright guy, Stephen Hawking, and if he's worried about global warming, well, then maybe we should be. Flight in an airplane soon now to get ready for the trip. In The Independent, Steve Connor quotes Hawking as saying that he has, we quote here, concluded the dangers posed by climate change are nearly as dire as those posed by nuclear weapons. The effects may be less dramatic in the short term than the destruction that could be wrought by nuclear explosion, but over the next 3 to 4 decades, climate change could cause drastic harm. The Daily Telegraph goes on quoting Hawking, who is now 65 years old, and of course in a wheelchair, saying, "Well, this year I'm planning a zero-gravity flight and to go into space in 2009, end quote. He plans to travel on Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic service, which is scheduled to begin private space flights in 2 years. Costs about $200,000 per person. That'll get you a 2-hour trip orbiting the Earth. And while I certainly haven't done it, and I would love to, it is my understanding that people who go into orbit around the Earth, who get to look down on the Earth, come back with a completely different perspective about the planet we live on. And they begin worrying about what we're doing to our planet. And I guess as much as you might talk about it, or even see photographs taken from the space shuttle and others that orbit the Earth on a regular basis, you just don't get it until you really go into space. And I guess I've considered myself, I could probably scratch together the money to do that. And I can see reasons, personal reasons why I might do it. It's something I'm giving some consideration to. After all, you only live once, right? One go round, unless this whole reincarnation thing has a good foundation. I'm hoping for that, but you just never know about the other side. Not for sure, right? So 1 or 2 trips around, $200,000 might be worth it. So I'm giving that some fairly serious thought, to look down on all of us, all of what we are, and consider. I'm Art Bell. Indeed, here I am. In addition to acquiring an insatiable appetite for baked potatoes, my wife Erin has discovered Grey's Anatomy on TV. She loves Grey's Anatomy, so I went out and bought her the first and second seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and she's been gobbling them down. Now, I just finished watching a fairly recent version of Grey's Anatomy that I had stored on a hard drive in high definition, and I must tell you, somewhere toward the center of the program, this was just earlier tonight, it was stored on the front, so it wasn't tonight's program, obviously. It was a week or 2 ago, or maybe a little more. They showed a shot of Seattle, because that's where the program takes place. And I'm telling you folks right now, I saw something shoot across the sky in Seattle. It literally covered the sky across Seattle in a wide-angle, high-definition shot in not more than a half a second. A half a second. It was definitely something. Something went streaking across the skies of Seattle, and a national audience would have seen it, unless you had it recorded somehow. You would have just gone, what was that? But if you could go back and watch it again and again and again, something of substance streaked across the skies of Seattle in about a half a second. I mean, that thing just screamed across, and they caught it. And I wonder if any of you caught it, because I sure did. Watched it about 10 times. I don't know what it was. Faster than anything we got. I can promise you. And it was angling not down, but up. Moved from what I would call the right side of the screen, the left side, and moved up in altitude, not down. I wonder if any of the rest of you have to catch that. So I probably go back and get the date. It was a fairly recent episode of Grey's Anatomy. All right. In a moment, we're going to go to Growing Up Lines. Anything you want to talk about, Senator Gaines, with the top of the hour. And we have Charles Syke on, talking about some very basic stuff for all of this. We'll be right back. A couple of past blasts worth reviewing just before I go to the line. One from David in Albany, Oregon. It occurs to me that all your warnings about global warming could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Many coast-to-coast guests have suggested that we create our own collective reality. Do you want that on your record when you have your life? No, David, I don't. But I'm not convinced that is the case yet. I am, however, David, considering it. And Ray in Bellevue, Nebraska, I've disagreed with you, Art, about global warming. I was a forecaster in the Air Force for 20 years. I was wrong. You are correct. I don't know what the causes are, but something is seriously wrong. Food is going to become so expensive, many will starve. So I'm considering all of that for both of you. Believe me, I'm thinking about it very hard. First time on the line, Mike in Ohio. Welcome.
Hi, Art. This is Tammy. Mike is in the room, and he's going to be very upset that he left because I have a story that I want to talk to you about with Malachi Martin. We were listening to the last screenplay that he had on exorcism.
Yes.
And at the point when he started talking about, if you get involved with exorcism or anything about this, you could be on into the world of being exposed to
It's opening a door. That's what it's doing.
Literally, it did open the door. What happened was that we were sitting in our study listening to the screenplay on it, when all of a sudden, as soon as he said that about it, there was a violent scratching at our closet door. Absolute violent scratching. We had our cat was in the room. The cat turned, ran out of the room, and the sound, the scratching sound, was about eye height. When you sit up and look at the closet. We were just horrified, scared. We looked at the closet, stared at it, and then finally my husband went over, swung the closet open, and there was absolutely nothing in there. Nothing at all. So it was absolutely terrifying, and we knew that having listened to Malachi Martin, that we probably had gotten into something that we probably shouldn't have been into. So.
Well, tell your husband I'm sorry I missed it. You're absolutely right. Look, it's true. When you do these sorts of things, when you consider these things, you run the risk of opening a door. No question about it. And I'm glad that they're getting the Martin interviews out there again. Martin, and there's not just two of them. I guess that's they're voting right now. But I have many, many interviews with Father Martin, and I have many very private discussions with Father Martin. And he told me some things that I so badly want to be able to tell all of you, and I cannot. Virtually took an oath with Father Martin that I could not discuss them. They have to do with the third secret. And he told me some things that I'm not sure he should have, and I sort of in some ways wished he had not, because it leaves me with the burden of knowing, wishing that I could share. And yet, when you take an oath, it has to mean something, right? So, that's why Father Martin was an amazing man. But somebody to the Rockies to Brooke, you're on the air.
Happy New Year, Art.
And welcome to you.
Welcome home, and it's nice to know that you and Aaron and all your kitty cats are really home.
Yes, we are.
I'm calling about a story regarding the dolphins. And I tried to call into George Norrie when he had Dr. David John earlier this week, and I couldn't get through. But there were dolphins teaching themselves in Boston Harbor last week, and there were like 24, and 5 of them died. And then I was reading in the New York paper that 75 dolphins landed in East Hampton, Long Island, and if you could give me your insight on why dolphins would be in the North Atlantic waters. Aren't they a tropical mammal? Don't they stay in warmer waters?
For the most part, yes, that is, I believe that is true. I'm trying to recall, I took several cruises and we had dolphins all over the place, and it seems as though I may have seen some in the northern part of the Atlantic, but I'm going to have to review that. Yeah, I'm going to have to review that. They're acting weirdly, and it may be that dolphins, their brain is just about the same size or larger than a human brain, and of course they may be an intelligent species way we simply do not yet understand. And if they are, and they're ending their own lives, we ought to be looking harder into why.
Well, there was 75 of them that landed in East Hampton, and that is an awful lot of dolphins. And it's just very puzzling, and I was just curious about what your insight on that would be, or if any of your listeners have opinions on that.
All right, we'll find out. My insight is nothing specific other than what I just told you. They may be a very intelligent species, and if they're choosing to end their lives, we all know the condition of the world's oceans right now is not good. We have a lot of dead zones. Dead zones, areas where there is no life, none. Everything's dead. More and more dead zones. The algae's in trouble. The basic food stuff is in trouble. And people shrug and they go, well, so what? You can't say, so what? It begins the chain that ends with the highest one on the rung. We're the highest one on the rung, right? Okay. We may be in trouble. All right, let's go to somebody calling himself Suleiman in Vancouver, British Columbia.
How are you doing, Art?
I'm Oogie.
Okay, Art, the reason why I'm calling is to let you know that you and your wife and your expected beautiful baby girl did not slip into unnoticed. I had sent you an email and I sent one to George Nuri and your Coast to Coast producer predicting that you and your wife and your newborn would return to Peru, and that she would definitely love it. I'm predicting that you're going to have a girl. And when I sent the email to you and to George, I put on there that your child will have an affinity towards the name Irene. And I did not know at the time that Aaron actually meant Irene. But I want to let you know that if you look in your email all the way back at that particular time, you'll see that I had predicted that because you have a title of World Event Psychic. Number two is that I wanted to let you and your listeners know about the weather abnormalities and anomalies that we're having. The scientists of the planet are not telling us the truth. What is happening is that the shield of the Earth is deteriorating. And as a matter of fact, about 16, 17 years ago, Dennis Weaver, who used to be an actor on television with James Arnaz, him and his son wrote a series of UFO contact books. And in one of those particular books, these extraterrestrials had made that particular statement, and everything that is transpiring today, they had predicted then, and they said that the scientists on the planet did not have the knowledge to stop what basically was coming.
All right, what is the nature of the shield that you speak of?
Okay, what they were saying was that every planet has a protective shield that protects it from the sun, the various rays that comes from the sun, and also it protects it to a degree from these asteroids and parts of comets coming into the area and actually hitting the planet. It actually causes them to bounce off.
Well, if that's true, explain to me what happened to Mars.
As a matter of fact, it's interesting in the Mars scenario. In 1978, I had a major out-of-body experience. And in that experience, I not only traveled to Mars, but I traveled to one of the spacecraft that the United States had sent that would take pictures of Mars. I saw on the rim of a huge canyon there a pyramid and a dilapidated city. I saw the buildings. I saw.
Let's refocus. My question was, what happened to Mars?
I believe that the shield on Mars was lost as well. And I believe that the same thing that happened on Mars is happening to the Earth now. This is what these particular entities were saying. And in the future, if you could contact Dennis Weaver and have him come on to cross that book, it was very specific in regards to the shield of the Earth that Jerry Ray and these entities made a comment. They said they were going to attempt to resolve the problem, but they said that they had not been successful on other planets in the past.
All right. We'll have to hold it there. Shield or faith. Where's Scotty when you need him? Well, something's obviously very much wrong. And we need to put together what it is and what we can do about it. Anything. There is something drastically wrong, and I don't know if it's a shield, as much as it is either a natural process or a natural process enhanced by man. I certainly don't rule that one out. Go to a wild card line, Ron, in London, Ontario.
Art Bell, what an honor and pleasure. How are you doing today, sir?
Just great.
Fantastic. I wanted to talk to you, and I want to give kudos to George Noory, who first broke the news about China shooting down their weather satellite. He said that this is going to be big. And I think a lot of the news media followed up with that, and they were starting to talk about it and saying that this is going to spark a new Star Wars race and technology race. But I want to, think about it from another angle. I know that the U.S. Army is pretty good in their research and trying to come up with new technologies and whatnot in satellites. But I think their efforts simultaneously should be focusing on, enforcing their vehicles or providing some sort of armor to the soldiers themselves. When you look at Iraq, most of the soldiers were dying, because of the roadside bombs, not because of high technology. Remote viewing or time travel, generalists can kind of get a better feel of what's happening when they're going through a situation.
I'm not sure how we got from the Chinese destroying their own satellite to the ground and right. But okay. Yes, I was very much aware of the story of the Chinese attacking. It was not as big as a lot of defeat as you think. You need to put something in space. And all the brilliant companies or something of that sort, all you really need to do is sort of aim the spacecraft at a satellite, and then release a whole bunch of engines, BBs, rockets, whatever. The speed at which they're traveling is kind of like a shotgun blast. You think of it as a spaceborne shotgun blast. And so it's not that hard to destroy a satellite now. Had they hit the wrong satellite on the Mars, there would certainly been dire problems. They destroyed them. So they demonstrated they have the capability to use projectiles, essentially floating pebbles, to destroy a satellite. Not a gigantic technological feat, but one that should have us trying to what we're going to face if we go through some sort of little while by the line, 16 minutes away.
Hey, good evening, today we're going to congratulate you on the job for you and the entire funeral for your with returning on the show with the increase in the amount of UFOs for the guys that they ran.
Yeah.
What are the fellows that
have nuclear weapons and perhaps if it really is visitors taking a close eye at Iran, maybe it's because they are a nuclear power already. It's something I guess we could consider. Sure. Look, if I were to venture a guess as to what it is, I think it's in other words, we have some secret technology well, it's secret, so we don't know about it. All kinds of things that we can use in our bag of tricks. And we're very, very interested in what Iran is doing and how far along they are. What's going on with the enrichment process? Are they actually close to getting involved? We want to know all of that. So whatever we've got in our little bag of tricks, I'm sure is showing up in the skies over Iran. That's probably bigger of the two possibilities. And the other, of course, is that there is something extraterrestrial watching anybody who's getting close to a nuclear device. It all, after all, did begin after we exploded the first nuclear weapon, right? That's when we began really seeing these things. So, either one's a possibility. Whether it would be our stuff, that's a possibility. I want to know. From the high desert in the great American Southwest. By the way, it may have eluded the not so much shielding deprived mind Superman that Dennis Weaver has passed on after last year. However, anything's possible on this program, and I understand that Alison Dubois is one of my favorite TV shows happens to be Medium, and Alison Dubois. And really, Alison Dubois are both happy fans of the show and would like to come on. So we're working on that, and perhaps that would be an opportunity to speak with Charles Sight, coming up, is a writer for Science Magazine, where he covers physics and cosmology. Right down our alley. He's the author of Zero, the biography of Ainge's idea, and Alpha and Omega, the search for the beginning and end of the universe. Prior to his involvement with science journalism, he was a mathematician, not an easy road. He received his undergraduate degree from Princeton and MS from Yale Mathematics Department. In addition, Charles attended Columbia Journalism School and is a member of the National Association of Science Writers. Quite a resume, I would say, and it's coming up next on Coast to Coast AM. Charles Sight, this should be very interesting. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. What road would you like to down? I guess it's the information superhighway we're bounding down, right?
Yes, I invented it.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, the idea of information was the subject of my latest book and is a fascinating topic, so much more than just computers.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. I think it is our total future. I sort of ran into all of this kind of by an accident. Some experiments that I ran, and I scared the hell out of myself, really, is what I did. And I went headlong into these experiments, and this whole consciousness thing. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get to that. Anyway, let's go back to information. And are you talking computers here, or what?
It's the same stuff that's in computers, but it's actually much, much deeper than that. It's more than the bits and bytes on your hard drive. Information is a physical concept. It is something that has, it's like mass or weight. It's a property of matter. It's a property of energy. It's a property of basically everything in the universe. Mm-hmm. And information is everywhere in the universe, and it holds the secret to understanding Einstein's theory of relativity, quantum mechanics, and even life itself.
That's pretty handy stuff.
Yeah. It's something that scientists only began to realize in the mid-20th century. It's the third great revolution of the 20th century. Everyone's heard about the relativity, which started in 1905, quantum mechanics, 1900.
In the mid-40s, a gentleman named Claude Shannon, who died fairly recently, discovered some laws that govern the way information must behave. And scientists over the next 50 years were developing Shannon's ideas and realized that through this seemingly abstract concept of information, you can unravel some of the biggest mysteries of the cosmos.
All right. Let me backtrack. You said how information behave. What do you mean by that? How does information behave?
There's a set of laws, and these are the laws of information, just as there's a set of laws, the laws of thermodynamics, that tell you heat must travel a certain way, that it must go from a hotter substance to a colder substance, and that you can't create energy out of nothing, and that the entropy of the universe, the disorder of the universe, must increase over time. These laws are equivalent to the laws of information, which is how much information you can pack in a certain channel. Or if you give an optical fiber, there's a certain amount of information that you can pack into it. Information can't be created or destroyed, just as energy can't be created or destroyed. So the thermodynamic information concept. And so, even though these laws are abstract, the shape of the universe is information, but how information moves. You get some of the laws of relativity, Einstein laws of relativity say that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. That's right. No information can travel faster than the speed of light. And that's an informational law. Right. Let me stop you right there. Information appears travel faster than light. In other words, A particle B may make simultaneous coordinates. Now, the idea to have it explained to me how they do that, information moving from A absolutely right, and this is one of the biggest symbols of mechanics. It's something called entanglement. And scientists have seen it. And this has been shown in all since the 1970s. Scientists have been creating particles that are so entangled, things are intertwined, so that if you touch one, if you measure one, the other, no matter where it is, feels that measurement. And with respect to the laws of light, well, it's feedback that if in fact sort of communication between these two parts, at least in the laboratory, they've shown that if there were to be some communication, they would have to communicate many times faster than light. That's right. Even if they're halfway across the galaxy, as measure one, the other feels it. So that seems to violate the laws of Einstein's relativity. It certainly does. And what we came up with, they called it duplicate. Yeah. He discovered, but it's he just couldn't get his mind around it. So much of his life trying to show that it wasn't the answer. Well, I can't get my mind around a deep communicator. I'm a radio guy. So I don't understand how radio propagates. I understand how television and radio signals propagate. Now, I refuse to believe that there's not some communication going on in what the scientists are calling entanglement. There has to be communication.